Hey trader. In this video, we're going to break down what the OTC market is, why it almost always has high payouts, and how to analyze it. And of course, what nuances might be hidden there. We'll also go over its pros and cons. After this video, you'll be able to trade on the OTC market on your own. I'll show you a couple of strategies and a few tools that will help you work here. Let's get into the video. First, we need to figure out what the OTC market is. If you don't want to know what it is, if you just want to jump straight to the ready-made strategies, you can see them below right now. There are timestamps. Just skip to the one that interests you for a ready-made strategy and start watching from there. But for now, I'll continue to keep explaining in more detail what exactly the OTC market is. Look, we have a regular traditional financial market, right? A standard currency pair that basically moves in the same way across all markets. So roughly speaking, it could be the Australian Canadian dollar without the OTC label. If we understand that this is an over-the-counter market, because that's what OTC stands for, over-the-counter trading, then we add the OTC label. And we realize that this chart, if we compare it, look, the Australian Canadian dollar is currently in a downward trend like this. If we look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar OTC, here we see a completely different movement. Let's set the candles to 1 minute, just like on the other chart. Yes, we also have a downward trend here, but just look at the differences. So really the charts are different, and quite significantly so. That's why we see similarities in the main movements and the overall logic, but the market trades a bit differently here. So let's break down what exactly is going on. Let's look at the difference. Let's figure out why we have such different movements. See, in the regular market, everything is synchronized. That is, there are you and other traders trading on a specific exchange, right? And accordingly, we exchange with each other. In other words, it's a two-way trade. So all our trades are also synchronized with other platforms. That means that your trades and your prices on your exchange are always synchronized in real time with those of other traders and also with other exchanges. In other words, you could call it inter-exchange trading. So what happens with us on the OTC market if everything here is interconnected? Accordingly, all the data is shared with each other. Who opens which trades is interconnected, so how does it work on the OTC market? It's actually pretty interesting. We only have our own platform, yes, our own exchange. And accordingly, it synchronizes with the same traders who are trading on it. That is, here we have complete synchronization. Everyone, yes, everyone can see each other's trades. Everyone sees different quotes, but here we don't have synchronization with other exchanges, and almost every exchange has this kind of market. So roughly speaking, there's some exchange where a quote is set. For example, on one exchange, the price is $5, but on another exchange, the same quote will already cost $6. You won't be able to take the internal asset. Like for instance, buy it here for $5 and sell it there for $6. That's why you and I are not able to artificially manipulate the market. But with common currencies, we have full synchronization, so we rule out that kind of manipulation. That is, the price is the same everywhere else. But accordingly, we also can't sell this kind of currency to you on another exchange. So basically, the OTC market is internal trading, when we're trading with other traders specifically within the exchange. And for example, if we go to Pocket Option and look at these examples, if we enter euro dollar, we see that we have the first currency pair with OTC, and the second one without the OTC prefix. So this euro dollar is synchronized with all banks and all other traders. Accordingly, here we understand how much this currency is worth and how news affects it. But here we have euro dollar as well. It's the same asset. The price is similar, but we trade it with other traders specifically on our platform, that is on Pocket Option. I hope that's clear now. So these assets are actually subject to manipulation, but OTC assets are not as heavily affected by them. Let's talk about the pros and cons of the OTC market. Let's look specifically at a comparison. So if we're looking at the pros and cons of the regular market versus the OTC market, let's go over the advantages first. A huge advantage of the OTC market is that it's open. It's open 24/7, meaning it operates around the clock. Another big plus is that it often offers higher payouts. So if we look at the payouts, we'll see that on OTC, it's really almost all the time. And all currency pairs have more than 80% payouts. On the regular financial market, this isn't as noticeable. Payouts there are often 30%, 50%. Again, this is related to the interest in currency pairs. And accordingly, the more we work within the platform, the more profitable it is, especially on my own platform. Another advantage is that indicators work better on the OTC market. In other words, indicators really do perform better here. According to statistics, some of them work 20 or even 30% better than on the regular financial market. And finally, probably the biggest advantage is that there is increased volatility here. Here, there is less pip fragmentation, which means we can profit from all sorts of different movements. Let me explain what that means. If on the regular market we buy, for example, an asset at 5.011, here we see that another digit is added, so there's an additional division down to the 10,000ths place. This is exactly what allows us to work in a very, very safe way. And to open trades on larger movements, if we're talking about the downside, that's not as good here. Our usual technical tools that work on the financial market also work here. There's no news trading here, which for some people is a plus and for others a minus. And also, as I mentioned, we constantly have higher volumes, which for some people is a plus and for others a minus. So basically we'll be working on 1-minute trades, 3 minutes at most. On the regular financial market, we can work with 5-minute or even 10-minute trades, so it's not the same. We have a much wider range of choices there, but on OTC we mostly work with 1-minute and 3-minute trades. Now, let me show you some real working indicators and strategies that actually work on the OTC market. But first, let me remind you that in our Elite channel, we hold trading sessions every day. So if you are interested and would like to join us and copy our trades, I'll leave the link for you in the description below. Please feel free to join us, and accordingly, you will be able to easily copy all of our trades as well. In short, the link will be in the description. Our professional traders work hard, analyze the market, and provide high quality signals like these. So the link is in the description, and now let's move on to the strategies. The very first and best indicator is the Ichimoku cloud. Let's find an example of a trade. Here we have a pretty good example on the Australian dollar, on the New Zealand dollar. And let's break down what's actually happening here. We have a red cloud, and it tells us that this right here is the cloud. And it tells us that we need to sell. When the price enters this range between these two turquoise lines, that's a signal for us to open a sell trade. So the cloud answers the question of which direction we open the trade. And this range between these two lines answers the question of where we will open our trade from. Accordingly, if both factors match, then we see that we have a sell signal. Here we have an entry point, and we open a sell trade. And now, after this trade, I'll show you the settings for this indicator. An excellent trade brings me $1,100. Now I'll show you the settings. We set the following settings for Ichimoku, 15, 30, and 60, and for the thickness we set the following values. The first two lines are set to turquoise, 2 pixels each, and the third line is turned off completely. And accordingly we set the last line to red. Save. Our settings are completely ready. Now we need to use regular Japanese candlesticks on 30 seconds. You can also use Heiken Ashen. That's also an option, but the most important thing is to use 30 seconds. And all of this works for 1 minute. So when the price comes here, between these two lines, we open a sell trade. That's in this case. Let me show you a second indicator that also works great on OTC. The next indicator is the alligator. It's a pretty good indicator for the OTC market, and it actually works with exactly the same parameters. We can also set Japanese candlesticks to 30 seconds, although no, here we won't use Heikinashi candles. Look how it works! Actually, it's really simple. We'll have two situations, meaning we'll be... So from here, between the green and orange lines, we'll open sell trades. And from these two lines, meaning when the price comes between the green and orange, we'll open buy trades. Here, we'll open for a sell. So this is also a trend indicator. You can make pretty good trades with it, with decent movement. But the most important thing is that the alligator lines are far apart like this. If they're intertwined, like here, then we'll skip those situations. Let's wait and see how this trade closes. The situation, of course, isn't the best. You could find a better one, but in theory, this one should also work out in the positive. No, unfortunately, we got a loss. Let's try to cover our trade by 20%. Here it is, the situation. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. So look, the price comes in between two lines, between the green and the orange. Accordingly, we open a sell trade. If you see that the green line is below, we open sell trades. If you see that the green line is above, we open buy trades. Right here were perfect examples of how to open buy trades. Just take a look. So we had so many entry points, really a lot, and we could have made money everywhere here. But now there's a downward movement happening, so let's watch it. And as you can see, a great move of about 40 points brings in around $1,600 in profit. By the way, I made about $2,000, actually a bit more, just in this video. So as you can see with Tesla, the market is really just about trying things out. Indicators. Also, let me remind you that you'll find more indicators in our Telegram channel. I'll leave the link in the description. Go there and you'll find more ready-made strategies and more indicators as well. You'll be able to repeat everything exactly and make money along the way. But I'll say right away, you need to practice first. Only then will you really be able to make money. If you jump in right away without taking a moment to prepare, things might not work out as well for you. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to write to our support account at any time. You can also join our exclusive elite club through the support account whenever you are ready. All the links will be waiting for you in the description. With that, I'll say goodbye for now. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and leave a comment about what you think of the UTC market. It'll be interesting to read your thoughts. See you in the next video.